and ask about discounts, rebates, incentives. Online at iwantcomfortnow.com. East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows serves all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. Call East Coast today at 609-646-1444. Online at eastcoastroofing.com. Sweetwater Marina and River Deck, located on the historic Mullica River, is nothing short of amazing. Visit sweetwaterriverdeck.com for more information. Thank you for supporting these great local businesses from Town Square Media, South Jersey.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
touchdown,
Sixers,
it's good,
and Flyers.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Midway through the week, we are almost to the weekend, which means we're almost to the start of NBA free agency as we get another step closer. Plus, the Phillies get a win in Chicago last night. James Harden has to make a decision about his player option by tomorrow night. And Brandon Graham said what exactly? We'll get into all that and more coming up this hour here on 97.3 ESPN. As always, you can join the conversation. 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Also, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Phillies get the win in Chicago. And I think that, to me, the win was less about a literal, hey, we beat the Cubs. Last night's game, I think, is going to be an important opportunity for this team to show that they can continue to overcome adversity. You guys know, if you listen to me long enough here on 97.3 ESPN, that I am a big believer in teams that overcome adversity that find a way to get past problems. Trey Turner made two mistakes last night. He had an error in the field and an error as a base runner. And both of those mistakes, in theory, would have been things that you point to, aspects of the game that you point to if you lose the game. But because you win the game, we look past those mistakes. When there are mistakes and you lose a game, everyone gets on that guy. Everyone jumps all over him. But when you make mistakes and you win a game, it gets forgotten about. And I'm not going to forget about it because it was a great example of how the Phillies are rounding in the form. This is a team that, frankly, had a horrible month of May, okay? There's no way to sugarcoat it. They struggled so badly in the month of May that people thought that firing the manager was an answer. By the way, it's not an answer. It's a weak excuse by people who don't have a better idea than just firing the manager, okay? The Phillies went from going 10-16 in the month of May to now 16-7 in the month of June. And while a huge part of that has been the pitching, while a huge factor in that record has been Nola, Wheeler, Suarez, and Walker, four of your five starting pitchers, putting up some pretty impressive outings, it's also the fact that this team has overcome and gotten around some pretty ugly mistakes at times. Last night was not the first time, nor will it be the last time, that the Phillies have to win a game when their defense can't get the job done. We saw this problem last year that this organization, for whatever reason, seems to have problems with being consistent fielders. And we can blame Kyle Schwarber's potential injury or lack of athleticism all we want. We can blame Trey Turner, his first year being here all we want. We can bring up whatever excuses you want. The reality is that for a Major League Baseball team, they do commit a lot of errors. And I thought it was important that this team found a way to overcome two mistakes by one of their best players last night. Seeing Trey Turner get caught off first base, and then you're like, all right, well, you know what? He made a mistake. But then shortly thereafter, what happens? He makes a fielding mistake. So what do we do with that? How do we look at Trey Turner moving forward? Well, I think you have to look at him and basically assess that he's having a rough year. He's not having his best year, but it's not just him when it comes to the fielding. If you want to say as a hitter he's having a rough year, he absolutely is. But the Phillies as a whole have not really corrected what was the biggest eyesore for them last year. Look, they're not one of the worst fielding teams in baseball. They're not. But committing 37 errors this year feels like it's happening at the worst possible times. And while, yes, they're not among the worst in baseball, all right, there are 3 teams with more than 50 errors this year. You have to wonder how many of those errors have impacted the outcomes of some of these games. And that's kind of where I'm at. Look, the Phillies are middle of the pack in fielding percentage and middle of the pack in errors. And it just has to make you wonder, can this team continue to overcome the mistakes that they make to win? And I thought last night was a big deal that this team found the way to ignore what happened and go out there and get the job done. They found a way to not let multiple mistakes burn them in the end of the game. And I think that's an overall positive. I think it's an overall positive that you're looking at a team that did not let those moments burn them. And look, Trey Turner, he's got 8 errors on the year. That's way higher than anyone would have expected. It's not the worst in baseball, but it's in the top 20 most errors in baseball. All right. Right now in Major League Baseball, for those who are wondering, there are 10 guys who have committed 10 or more errors, and Turner has 8. So kind of gives you an idea of where he sits. And now moving forward, you have opportunity to win this series against the Cubs. Nola tonight, Walker tomorrow. You should be able to win at least one of these 2 games. Because moving forward, your goal is to try to win every series possible. That was the goal last year, has to be the goal this year if you're the Phillies. So I think there was a positive last night in getting that win despite Trey Turner's errors. We'll get to more of your text in just a moment. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Jeff in Ocean City, I see you chiming in. On the flip side, we are about 24 hours away from James Harden having to make the decision. The decision, does he opt in or opt out? And it's looking like he's going to opt in. If you go by, opt out, according to Brian Windhorst reporting of ESPN, that it looks like Harden is going to it looks like Harden is going to opt out with the idea that he's going to use that as an opportunity for him to make more money than he thinks he can next year. And the report from Brian Windhorst states that he expects to make significantly more than he couldn't make if he kept on. I don't know what significantly more means. I just hope it doesn't mean James Harden max contract, because James Harden has to accept the reality that if this team is going to try to win a championship, he cannot and should not be the guy that absorbs so much of a team's salary cap. The NBA is moving into a new era. And unlike baseball, where you can spend money limitlessly, or the NFL, where teams can manipulate cap numbers all the time, I think that you have to have a conversation about, does James Harden understand that winning a championship means that you need to not be the guy who holds your team back? You can't go out there and say, I want to win a championship, and then be also the guy that kills the team's flexibility financially. You can't do that. You know, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, they both took contracts that were team friendly in that it gave the team flexibility financially to win a championship. All right. People do that in football. LeBron James, when him and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh all went to Miami, LeBron didn't take the max. He took a little less. So the team had flexibility to build the team around them. If you're serious about winning a championship, if you're serious about being on that level, James Harden cannot be the guy demanding $50 million next year. Look, if you tell me he goes from 35 to 40 million, I don't think that's too crazy. Whether I'm willing to accept it or not, the truth is, whether I like to admit it or not, James Harden is still this team's best option if he plays at the level he's capable of consistently to win a championship. Doesn't negate the fact that he is very frustrating, exasperating, and he says and does things that drive me nuts. But the truth is, this team is better off with him than without him. And they're not going to be able to replace him with anybody of equal talent. So it's on Harden to accept the fact that just because you might opt out of your deal doesn't mean that you are automatically the guy who has to get all the money. All right. A little bit later in the hour, we'll get to your guys' thoughts and comments on the text board, 609-403-0973. As I mentioned, Jeff from Ocean City has already chimed in. Also, your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. And still to come, about 40 minutes from now, your final opportunity today to qualify for the Phillies trip contest. We had Keith in Woodbine, George in Galloway. They were the most recent qualifiers, and you could be next. Just when you hear the sounder, well, you'll know you have to call for your opportunity to qualify to go to a Phillies game in Pittsburgh. Full trip covered by Phillies Sports Trips with the tailgate, with the hotel, with the game ticket, the whole 9 yards. You can go with Mike Gelf from the Sports Bash, but you got to qualify coming up in about 40 minutes from now here on 97.3 ESPN.
This weekend on ESPN Radio.
At the track, at the wall, out of here. And just like that, the Giants have retaken the lead.
Fighting for the top of the NL West, the San Francisco Giants continue an East Coast trip at Citi Field against the New York Mets.
Throw to the plate. He's out.
The Giants and Mets. Coverage begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
He's out.
Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
At the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. From the space you have, to the features you want, to the savings you need. Like a new GE Profile Ultra-Fast Combo laundry machine that can wash and dry a large load in about 2 hours, without you ever having to transfer the load over. Get special buy savings like the GE Profile Ultra-Fast Combo Laundry Machine, plus an extra $100 off select laundry sets in-store and online at the Home Depot.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot, but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Delivery's at the door. Can someone please unlock?
It's been an eventful afternoon with a spike in bookings at Claudia's event space.
We'd love to host Mermaid Fest.
She was already planning on having more event planners on hand.
500? That's a lot of tails.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Trio North Wildwood is where casual elegance meets delectable dining. Experience the perfect blend of comfortable atmosphere and gourmet cuisine. Savor our chef-inspired dishes made with the freshest ingredients, featuring options for all tastes. Treat yourself to a night out at Trio North Wildwood and indulge in the ultimate dining experience. Reservations on Resi. Don't miss out on the taste sensation that is Trio North Wildwood. 700 New Jersey Avenue, North Wildwood. Chef-driven, quality-focused, TrioNW.com.
Here's how we long for Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear.
The world has gone hands-free. However, if you want to put on a pair of sneakers, you still need to bend down and help your feet in. Until now. Introducing Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear. You don't need to reach down to help your heel in. You just step into them and off you go. So what's the secret? Well, there's a special smooth comfort pillow in the heel that helps your foot slide into place. And they stay on just like a pair of laced-up sneakers.
Get hands-free slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette. Everybody knows there's no beating Bennett because we sell new Chevys at true GM supplier employee prices. Unlike the other guys, Bennett doesn't sell at MSRP, and they certainly never sell over MSRP. Because at Bennett, we take pride being known as the only area dealer to sell at the true GM supplier employee price. Plus, Bennett also gives you all the rebates. Not one or the other. Bennett gives you both. There's no beating Bennett. Plus, Bennett's got financing as low as 1.9%. Looking for used? Bennett pays a minimum $8,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. I know you're thinking Bennett will never give me $8,000 for my old clunker. Try us. Bennett doesn't care if it's all dented and care if it runs. Just get it here for at least $8,000. A lot more if it's in nice shape. And Bennett's non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
As promised, we'll check in on the text board in a little bit. 609-403-0973. Over to DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Yeah, if you have been seeing one of my articles this week over at 97.3 ESPN.com, I've wrote about how the Stone Harbor Golf Club is now under new ownership. Somebody who I know who is a huge golf fanatic joins us this week on Wednesday. He is our 97.3 ESPN.com sports columnist and friend of the show. Dave Weinberg is back for the Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome back. How you doing today?
Doing well, Josh. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So I want to know from you, Dave, to start here. We're almost at the official halfway point of the Phillies season. How does Dave Weinberg feel about the Phillies as we are approaching the end of the month of June?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. They have the exact same record as they had last season at this point, I think.
I think so, yes.
But I don't know that their future is quite as bright. I mean, they went on quite a run over the second half of the year last year, particularly late in the season. And if they're counting on doing that again, I think it's going to be a tough road. I mean, they can't afford to fall too much farther back if they not only want to make the win the division, but also make a playoff run as a wild card. It's still absolutely still possible, but I don't know that they can afford to wait till late in the season like they did last year to get into the postseason.
Now, if you had to put your finger on what do they need to get them to where you think they need to be, because right now they are number 4 in the wild card standings. For those who are wondering, they're 3 games behind the Dodgers right now. Of course, the Dodgers and the Giants, the Diamondbacks are all fighting for their division, so you can kind of rule out those 3 teams, honestly. But still, Dave, for you, what is the thing that's holding you back from saying, I fully believe?
Man, Josh, I wish I could put my finger on just one thing. But there's days where they'll win a game 1-0, then they'll lose a game 2-1, then they'll win a game 10-9, then they'll lose a game 15-3. I guess it's the depth of the pitching, maybe. Starting pitching, I think, might be holding them back a little bit. Although, Nola pitched very well his last time out. Wheeler's still a stud. So, and the offense has been awfully inconsistent too. I mean, it looks like Turner's starting to put things together now. Marsh had a great game last night, but I don't know that those guys are having like the consistent. I guess, well, Marsh is having a very good year, as is Stott. So, gosh, I'm sorry to be waffling on it. I just don't know. There's one thing that will put them over the top. I guess maybe another starting pitcher.
Well, here's the thing: the Phillies pitching staff this month has the second best ERA in all of baseball. So,
well, then there you go. They don't need it.
Right. Well, I mean, but do they? Like, it's a two sides of the same coin. Like, you can be great in June, but it doesn't mean you'll be great in October, right? You can be, you could be a team that's like, for example, the Phillies last year had arguably one of the worst defenses of all of baseball, and then they kind of got better as the season went on. And it wasn't defense that doomed him in the World Series. It technically was their offense that scored, I believe it was 13 of their 18 runs in 2 games. So, it's just because the Phillies are pitching great now or they're not hitting as well now doesn't mean they won't do so vice versa later.
Yeah, that's the challenge for our front office to try and forecast what's going to be happening a month from now or 6 weeks from now. If what they have now is going to hold up, whether it's pitching or hitting or defense, and if they think they need to upgrade a certain area, then go ahead and do it. You can't keep trotting the Kyle Schwarber out the left field. I know that. I mean, he's just that's always an adventure when a ball's hit his way, and they really have to shore up their defense in that area, I think, to really make a run if they want to.
Also, I kind of feel for Trey Turner because it's almost like he's going through this year what Nick Castellanos went through last year. Trey Turner, for his career, he's basically a 300 hitter, and he has struggled half the year. He has 8 errors this year, which is among the 20 worst in all of baseball. But we know he's a really, really, really good baseball player, and it's almost like he's still finding himself at times. I mean, last night, like Dave, you know how it is. If the Phillies lost that game last night, Trey Turner would be the biggest scapegoat because he had that error at shortstop and he ran too far past first base and got tagged out on the RBI. He'd be the villain, but because they won the game, nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's too good a player to keep struggling, though. I don't know. I mean, he's way better than, and I don't want to disparage Castellanos. I mean, he's a very good player too, but Turner's on another level. I mean, he's a legitimate stud, and I really find it hard to believe that he would keep struggling throughout the entire season. I think maybe the World Baseball Classic kind of set him back a little bit. Maybe they got him off kilter. I don't know, but I think he's way too good to keep playing the way he is. I think he'll be able to turn it around. I think he's too good not to.
I mean, I know for sure it definitely affected JT Realmuto because Realmuto explained that in the Athletic article with Matt Gelber. He told him, he's like, hey, man, being in the World Baseball Classic really messed me up because I didn't have enough time to prepare for the season and the pitch clock and working with the pitchers. And that's one guy admitting that. So who knows? And by the way, Kyle Schwarber in left field, I'm glad you brought that up. It's uncomfortable watching him out there sometimes, is it not? Like sometimes you're watching him and like you start cringing watching him. You're like, dude, no.
I'm sorry, I missed all that. Go ahead, try again.
Where'd you lose me there?
You're kind of like fading back in and out on your video. That's okay though.
Oh, okay.
Well,
you still can hear me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's another one that's really tough to figure out. I mean, he's a tremendous home run hitter, but it's either home run or nothing, or what's he got, 165? I don't know what he's hitting, something like that. But I know it's well below 200, and you got to get more production than that if you're going to justify playing him in every day in the outfield too. And just face it, he's terrible as an outfielder. I mean, he'll make a catch every once in a while, but he's more likely to boot a ball than he is to catch it. And that loss to I guess it was the Mets maybe the other night, or the one that he had the ridiculous they called it a hit, but then he wound up changing it. Thank goodness.
Oh, the error. Yeah, the error. Yep.
Yeah, I mean
that was Thursday night.
That's just typical of his defense, and I don't know what the solution is. I don't know where you play him. I don't think you can play him at first base because you want Harper to be at first base eventually. So, until Hoskins gets back next year. So I don't. But yeah, he's a really tough guy to figure out because, like you said, I said he's an explosive home run hitter, very exciting, can win the game with one swing, but he can also lose you the game with one defensive mistake.
Talk with Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, you covered the Eagles for many years. You're very familiar with one Brandon Graham, and I want to play for you with Brandon Graham. He was asked about, hey, that Super Bowl loss, what are your thoughts on it? And Brandon Graham, they asked him about the surface on the field, and he didn't shy away from it. This is from Jacob Media. He was being interviewed by Derek Gunn and Rob Ellis. This is Brandon Graham talking about playing the Chiefs on that slick surface out there in the Super Bowl.
A little bit of the surface, especially us linemen. You need that traction to be able to get off the block, and we were slipping a lot. And I mean, I don't make excuses. I just know that that's what it was when we talking about like what was being talked about. It was just us trying to get out of our own head a little bit too, because we knew we had a good man. I'm telling you that O-line, boy, they got blessed. I say that.
You covered Brandon Graham for many years. What are your thoughts on what he said there, Dave?
I'm a little surprised. He's not one to make excuses, and the turf was slippery, but it was slippery for the Chiefs as well. They just lost. I mean, that's the way it goes. And they played a great game. They had a great season to get there. Be interesting to see what happens this year. I'm a little surprised that he would make any excuses for that kind of stuff. That's usually not the type of guy that he is.
Do you think maybe that the situation was a little more impactful than maybe we fully realized? Because for a guy like Brandon Graham to say that, maybe he feels a little more like intensely about it than maybe we realized.
So I mean, I'm sorry. I just don't. I'm really sorry that the field was slippery for you and Hassan Reddick, and try something different, change your shoes or change your approach. I don't know, but I just don't. I just don't. I don't know why you would make excuses or try to justify what happened. I mean, the field was terrible, no question about it, but it was terrible for both teams. So I don't see where you have a gripe.
I mean, here's what I don't understand, and that is, I was listening. So Mike Golick Sr. was the field correspondent for Westwood One for the Super Bowl. And he said that he saw CJ Gardner-Johnson slipping and sliding before the game, and they looked right at each other and basically said simultaneously, "Oh, bleep," to each other. Like, you're telling me that a player and people see this is a problem before the game, and nobody decided to maybe change cleats or do something about it over the course of a game? It feels very odd to me that you know how it is, Dave. I mean, those guys are out there warming up hours before the game even kicks off.
Yeah, you had to have known. I mean, it wasn't like you didn't get there for the first series and realize the field was bad. You had to have known, like you said, pregame warm-ups. I don't know where they practiced, but I'm sure they had some sort of exposure to the field before the game. And I think they might have practiced at ASU, if I'm not mistaken. But in any case, I mean, you had to even if it's not the players, the league officials had to have been aware of it. I don't know how you just let that stuff slide. No pun intended, but it's just you have to find a way to make the conditions better. I mean, especially biggest game of the year. You have to put the players and the teams in the best possible position to succeed, and the league definitely didn't do that.
Well, the problem is, Dave, is that next year's Super Bowl is being played in Vegas, which has the same kind of field as Arizona. So, Dave, they better figure it out. They better get this straight, because that's embarrassing. For the biggest game of the season, you got the sloppiest field of the season. Remember, Dave, you remember there was an Eagles game that couldn't be played a preseason game because of the field conditions.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep, I was there at the time. It's from what I could be mistaken, but I think that was the first year of the new groundskeepers, I guess is what their term would be. Preparing the field for the Super Bowl.
It's a weird story. It kind of depends on who you want to believe, but apparently, this, as the story goes, they were preparing this special sod for this field, for this game, for 2 years. And as the story goes, the guy who had done the field for the Super Bowl for 50 years had kind of taken more of a consultant role, less of an active role in the field. And according to him, no one listened to him, and they didn't leave. Because the way it works is they roll the field in, roll the field out, for the people who don't know how this works out in Arizona. And as the story goes, Travis Kelce explained on the Kelce's podcast that they had played in Arizona earlier in the year, and so did the
Right.
Eagles. And both of them had realized at the time that the field was a little slick, so they both had an idea what it'd be like. But the field that was played back when they played on the field was a completely different field than what they rolled in for the Super Bowl. And according to the groundskeeper, the sod father or whatever his name was, the idea is that they didn't leave it out to dry. They left it in there, basically,
Right.
becoming, condensation buildup, and they never let it dry out for like an entire week.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yep. The solution here is to make a call to Tuckahoe Turf Farms right outside and get their opinion and get their expertise and bring them out to Vegas and let them put the field in.
I was just gonna say, why don't we just make sure there's somebody who actually knows about how about this? Whoever was involved this year should never do it again. How about that?
This is true. Yep. Just to throw another local plug in, Atlantic City Racecourse obviously is closed probably for good, but at the time they had the best turf course in the country when they were operating. So I would say make a call to whoever put that turf in the Atlantic City Racecourse. Let them have a say in what goes into the Super Bowl stadium too. I'm sorry, I'm in the local plugs today.
It's all good. Dave, before I let you go, I want to ask you, because I saw on Twitter at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter, you gave a list of your top 10 public courses in South Jersey. Now, I want to know, because you didn't really list it with your list. You kind of gave the list.
Yeah.
What makes a golf course the best in South Jersey for you? Like, what are the differentiating factors?
Well, it's a lot for me. I mean, I'm sure everybody's opinion is different and their qualifications are different. I just like a course that I can have fun on, that is tough, but it's fair. It's not going to beat you up. It's not going to embarrass you. And by the same token, it's not tricked up either. There's not like some weird dog leg or some hazard that you weren't expecting that a golf course shouldn't have. I mean, if I expect that if I can play halfway decent, which is some of the time, that I'm going to wind up with a different score. And scenery has a lot to do with it too. I like to look at. I enjoy playing courses that are that have water on them, have sand on them, that have a little bit of everything. And you saw that Ballamore was my number one pick, and that's the reason. I think that's a fabulous course. It was private for a while, and they made it public. It's in Egg Harbor Township, and I really enjoyed. I mean, but I love all those courses, all 10 of them. I could probably list 10 more if I had the room. But yeah, it's just some courses just some variety and that are fun but fair. That's what I look for.
I was just wondering, because I know that for a lot of people, their priorities are different. When they go golfing, for some people it's the course, some people it's the amenities, some people it's the the aspects of nature.
To be quite honest, there aren't a whole lot of amenities at a lot of public courses here. You can go in and have a beer or a sandwich afterwards if you want. That really doesn't make or break a course for me. And it's nice to have a cart person out there fairly frequently. That helps to keep you hydrated and stuff. Or if you're enjoy a beverage or two, that's fun too. But if you want like the top shelf amenities, you're much better off going to a private course, which I probably should list in sometime in the near future, because South Jersey's got some tremendous private courses too.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Stone Harbor, which is a private course, they're under new ownership now.
Yep, very true. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, and I definitely encourage people to read my article I wrote about it. The people who bought the course, their whole either a national entity, their big deal is actually maintaining the wildlife around the course and not expanding golf courses. So it's there, it's not like they're going to come in and rip up the whole situation and try to undo what Stern Harbor is. So
yep, I agree. Yep.
He's Dave Weinberg, Weinberg Wednesdays. Give him a follow on Twitter. Check out the full list of his top 10 public courses in South Jersey at Dave Weinberg 19 extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, enjoy the weekend. We have an extended holiday weekend because July 4th is on Tuesday. So I highly recommend you break out the bike and don't drive anywhere for a couple days, okay?
Yeah, that's my plan. Very good. Yeah, I'm hoping to enjoy myself. Just relax and have a good time.
Dave,
thanks
take
as
care.
always, Josh. I appreciate it.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Yeah, this is the kind of weekend I always tell people, prepare ahead of time. Prepare everything ahead of time. Don't do anything this weekend that might be, squeezing things in or time sensitive or anything, because you're not going to be able to make it work. There are people who are going to be down at the shore basically from Friday to Wednesday. This is going to be a super extended vacay for a lot of people. So be ready. And, and by the way, make sure you know the parking situation, because you also can go to 97.3 ESPN.com and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because one of the towns in South Jersey issued 564 parking tickets last month. You can go check out my article about that as well. Coming up next, Jeff in Ocean City, Mike in Ocean City, Cole in LBI. I'll get to all your guys' texts and more. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Corvette. Everybody knows there's no beating Bennett, because we sell new Chevys at true GM supplier employee prices. Unlike the other guys, Bennett doesn't sell at MSRP, and they certainly never sell over MSRP. Because at Bennett, we take pride being known as the only area dealer to sell at the true GM supplier employee price. Plus, Bennett also gives you all the rebates. Not one or the other. Bennett gives you both. There's no beating Bennett. Plus, Bennett's got financing as low as 1.9%. Looking for used? Bennett pays a minimum $8,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. I know you're thinking Bennett will never give me $8,000 for my old clunker. Try us. Bennett doesn't care if it's all dented and rusty. We don't even care if it runs. Just get it here for at least $8,000. A lot more if it's in nice shape. And Bennett's non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Homeowners trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Business owners trust Jenkins, too, for light commercial services. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Call Jenkins. One call does it all. For new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, and drain cleaning services. Call now and learn about rebates through the HVAC Energy Efficiency Program, brought to you by South Jersey Gas. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 85% water, right?
85% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Hi.
Afternoon. Atlantic City Electric here to install your new smart meter?
Did I order a new meter?
No, we're replacing old meters in South Jersey with new smart meters.
What's the catch?
No catch, just more insight and functionality.
Which means?
Soon, you'll have even more reliable electric service and new tools and programs to help you save energy and money.
Yep, that's smart. Learn more about smart meters at atlanticcityelectric.com/SEN.
Wendy's is open till midnight or later, so you can give in to the craving and go night mode. Now all of your favorite menu items just got their bedtime extended. You can get what you want even later, like the Baconator with 6 strips of bacon, or the perfect fries and frosty duo. If you're up later, then so are we. So go ahead and pull through the drive-thru. When the craving hits, go night mode at Wendy's. Open till midnight or later. All right, see ya later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code TRUST at checkout. That's harrys.com, code TRUST. Enjoy.
Sail into summer in New Jersey. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Enjoy iconic shores, history, and culture. From dazzling cities to charming countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget, coming up in less than 10 minutes from now, your final opportunity to qualify today for the Eagles trip contest. You and a friend will get to go to Pittsburgh, all expenses paid trip, and get to go to the game in Pittsburgh with Phillies Sports Trips and Mike Gill and the Sports Bash going to Pittsburgh every hour on the Sports Bash, and then finally on Game Night, 55 after the hour, $6 and $7, you qualify for the Phillies trip giveaway. Don't forget, you must be present to win at Yuri's in Wildwood, where Mike Gill, the Sports Bash, will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6. And you must be present to win if you are a qualifier there in order to win the trip. Thanks to Phillies Sports Trips. Over on the text board, a couple messages to get to, 609-403-0973. Mike in Ocean City says, Josh, can we let go of the Super Bowl field issue? It was nearly 5 months ago. I get it. BG recently had a comment, but not everything is news. I'm a huge Eagles fan. I'm tired of the excuse makes the players and fans sound like the 49ers, who are big complaining as well. That's Mike in Ocean City. Mike, I agree and disagree, because I agree that there is a bit of, hey, it happened. It was months ago. Let's move on. Let's get over it. I do agree with that attitude, that way of thinking. But I disagree, Mike in Ocean City, because the reason why people have trouble letting it go is because the NFL has been so obsessed with not admitting that they made a mistake. The NFL is so intent on not letting this go. Not giving us a reason to let it go, because you're playing in the same kind of field next season. The NFL should come out and say, we made a mistake. This happened. Here's how we'll rectify it. It'll never happen again. But instead of doing that, they just try to act like it didn't happen. And I think that's the reason why it's difficult for people to let it go. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, personally, I was not calling for the fire of the Phillies manager. I'm just not a fan of his, and wouldn't have minded if they made a change. By the way, my trunk is loaded with beer, Supermarket Friday AM, and then I will not move my car again. That's Jeff in Ocean City. Yeah. About the Phillies thing, to me, Jeff, wasn't really pointing out to you as much people wanting to fire the manager. If you're not a fan of his, I'm fine with that. But I think the problem is I was more so speaking for the people who think that firing a coach or firing a manager is the answer to everything. And I just think that's a lazy way of thinking. Now, Jeff, I would just say to you that, listen, you may not be a fan of the manager, but the problem is that whatever your issues are with the manager, it's probably a reflection of the front office. It's a reflection of the general manager, Sam Fuld. It's a reflection of the president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski. It's the idea that what you are frustrated with is in part your frustration with them. Because what you're saying is that they, the front office, are okay with a certain style of baseball being played, and you're not a fan of that. So, I would say that part of your frustration should be targeted toward Dombrowski and Fuld, and not just toward the manager. George of Summers Point chimes in on the text board at 609-403-0973. George says, "Hey, Josh, your point about the Phillies defense is very valid. However, Dombrowski told us last year, and it certainly has continued to plague them this year, that this might be a problem. It certainly seems like the Phillies administration favors offense over defense. They seem to think that you can win by strictly outscoring your opponents. But as you stated, it's not always the case. Do you think that this is the way many teams in baseball are playing today in general?" That's George in Summers Point. George, I don't think every team is playing that way. I think there's a lot of teams that have way more fundamental defense than the Phillies do. I think that the Phillies are supposed to be an analytics organization. I think the analytics display that. I think the numbers would show you that, if you're who are the best teams in terms of fielding in baseball? Well, in terms of fielding percentage, let me just pull it up again real quick, just for comparison's sake. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks, it's San Diego Padres, it's the Baltimore Orioles, it's the Cardinals, Dodgers, Rays, Astros, Brewers, Mariners, Rangers. So those are your best fielding teams in baseball. The Diamondbacks, the Orioles, the Dodgers, the Rays, the Astros, the Mariners, and the Rangers all look like playoff teams right now. Padres are struggling offensively. Cardinals are struggling altogether. And Milwaukee's offense is free falling. So if 7 out of the 10 best fielding teams in baseball are all playoff teams, and by the way, if I'm reading this, the 12th best fielding team is the Reds, and they've been surging as of late. I think that, George Summers Point, you can be a good fielding team and win games. It's not exclusively one or the other. So I don't think every team in baseball has this perspective. Maybe it's just how the Phillies or Dave Dombrowski look at it. Let's try to squeeze in a couple more messages in here. Cole from LBI chimed in a little bit earlier about Nola and says, Aaron Nola isn't signed long-term. And if he reached the qualifying offer stage, you are probably going to have to overpay him like Walker is overpaid. I don't think Walker's horrible, but he gets a lot of money. And if Mick Abel and McGarry get to the major leagues, I doubt they become the level of Shane Bieber. So I would bump down Aaron Nola, trade for Shane Bieber. Then you have Wheeler, Bieber, Suarez, Painter on the staff next year, and then you let Nola walk. That's from Cole and LBI. I think the problem is that the Phillies seem to value their prospects more than other teams in baseball do. And I think that the problem with the Phillies right now is that they are in an untenable situation. They want to win. They want to win now, but they want to preserve their prospects for the future. So I think that's the problem with the Phillies. I don't think Nola is going to get overpaid necessarily, but I think the market calls for pitchers like him to all get paid a certain number. All right, that's sounded. This is your time. This is your moment. You call her 6 and 7 at 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. That's the number you call for your opportunity to win a trip to the Phillies at the Pirates game at PNC Park. All expenses paid. You and a friend, call her 6 and 7 at 609-573-3776. Call now for your chance to qualify. Of course, the trip is thanks to Phillies Sports Trips plus League Must Press to win at Yuri's and Wildwood Friday, July 14th with Mike Gill and the Sports Bash. 609-573-3776. Caller 6 and 7. You're in. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Catch you tomorrow.
Here's what you missed on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
I don't know that it's a huge gap because if you go back and you look at last year, the Dallas Cowboys actually split with the Eagles. So I don't think Philly is head and shoulders above everybody else to the point where they're going to run shop on the division the way they did last year, but I still think they come out of the division.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.